Each cell sits around 3.3 volts, yeah, but they want to be balanced within like 0.01 volts. I mean, you can actually modify that on the BMS. I'm still trying to get my head around the BMS because I'm not an electrical engineer, and that stuff is like.
But the balancing part just fascinates me.
Yeah, because it does it for me. That's a good thing, right?
When you plug it in, it actually balances them for you.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm still trying to figure this stuff out. I mean, it's like the information you get from this stuff is like feeding through a fire hose. It's crazy. But yeah. So anyway, the one of the things I want to show you here is if I plug in my there we go. If I plug in the charger now through my little charge port, the BMS should recognise the charger, and if it meets a bunch of parameters, it will allow the truck to charge. So the charger is on that side there. So a bunch of clicking, click, charger's running. So you can hear the charger running now. It's got a little cooling fan to keep it cool. And then I've got my laptop set up with the battery management system here.
Yeah, I see all those numbers.
And it shows that it's got in red all my individual battery cells, and the reason that they're highlighted in red is that the system is actually actively balancing my my batteries for me. Right now it's putting about 29 amps, 27, 28 amps through the pack to recharge it. And right now the battery pack state of charge is about 50%, so 49.5% is where the battery's sitting. So we want that to get up to about 95%, and then it'll cut it off, because you never want to overcharge a battery pack. And the way that what the system does is it will charge the batteries until at least one of these cells reaches 3.65 volts. Once one of those cells reaches 3.65 volts, it'll stop charging. Now the problem is one of them has already reached 3.5, and that's the point when it starts to balance the batteries. So yeah, you can see it already thinks it's at 70% state of charge, and it's because the batteries are so far out of balance here. Number 35 and cell 35 and cell 36 are so far out of balance that it's confusing the system into what the state of charge is.
So one's really high, one's really low.
So I need to, these cells need to actually balance. It takes some time for the battery packs to balance. So you can see this one's almost at 3.65.
So it's going to cut off,
and it's
soon,
going to
right?
cut off because that battery, that cell is too high.
So the charger will stop,
yeah,
but it'll keep balancing, correct?
Right, exactly. So you see how this one's reached 3.65 now, and see how the amps are starting to decrease? So it's reducing the amps, and it's going to get the state of charge is coming up real fast, which isn't realistic. It's because the batteries are so far out of balance. You can see the delta cell voltage, 0.4. We want that to be around 0.01. So the pack itself is way out of balance.
And Ken, when you say all this, this is actually really close for me when I used to do it manually.
Right. See how it's shut off now because it's hit a.
So it stopped charging per se, but it's balancing.
It's balancing, yeah. So we're almost at 95%. Once it hits 95%, it will not allow any more voltage to go through the cells there.
Gotcha.
But you can see that one there is just sitting at 3.648.
Yep.
Yeah. You can see the amps. It's only at 6 amps of charge power now.
So what's going to happen here is you're going to go further on a charge than I did, because the better it's balanced,
right,
the more energy you're going to have.
So then this is another screen here. Like the amount of information that this program, this battery management system will give you is like overwhelming. So it'll tell me if there's any errors. It'll tell me when it's allowing the vehicle to be charged and when it's allowing the vehicle to move. How many the state of charge right here, 94.5%. Again, it cuts off at 95%. But yeah, it's quite the system. Yeah, and I've got a separate system altogether for the actual controller, so that we can customize the controller. But right here, I can jump into the charger, connect to the charger device, and it tells me if there's any issues, any faults with my charger. And right now, it's showing that there's no faults on the charger. And it tells me that commanded DC current. So the BMS, this Orion 2 BMS, is controlling the amount of current that the charger is able to output to the batteries. and you can see right now that it's super low, and now it's 0. It just cut it off. So we've reached our 95% battery pack because that one cell reached its max.
So will we see the other cells going up in voltage if we go back to that?
If we go back, let's have a look. Disconnect from device.
As it's balancing?
So there, the charger just turned off. You heard the charger turn off.
It cooled down, shut off.
Right. So, and then see how they all turned red? Anytime they're red, it means that the cells are actively balancing, and it'll take a long time. It'll take trickled some of the power from the higher cells to balance some of the lower cells. The problem is that see this one here is not red. It's so far out of the range of the other cells there that it's ignoring it. So I need to manually bring that cell up to charge, and that's why I've got that charger coming.
Yes, there's two ways to do it.
Yeah.
An individual cell charger.
Yes.
Or you could, we talked about this, what I would have done with manually, I would have disconnected that from the system, drove the car for a couple hours, and then plugged it back in. So lowering all the other cells. But you can't do that because the battery management system would cut off.
Well, because this thing here,
if you disconnect one cell from the system.
Yeah.
So you have to charge the one cell up.
Yeah, so I'll bring that one cell up and individually. Yeah, but it's funny because it looks like it's so much lower than the other cells. Again, this is a learning curve for me. I've never really dealt with this stuff before. So, but yeah, if I go into diagnostics there, if I go in here,
it says all the cells are good.
Is there any weak cells? None.
Yeah.
Right.
That's nice to see.
Yeah. So I mean, and if I ever get any diagnostic codes, they'll pop up here as well. But yeah, so that's the battery management system.
Very cool.
In a nutshell. It's pretty slick, and it all hooks up through USB. So yeah. And then I'm still working. Oh, there's that Canon plug there. That's what I'm going to put in the firewall to run the wires through the firewall. That'll clean it up.
Oh wow.
Yeah. That's a project for another day.
Okay, so
yeah. So that's it. It's clean up time. You put this. We're trying to put the truck back together after we've finished torquing down chassis components, and then it will be a complete vehicle again.
Yeah,
and then
you got to strip the body apart again to take it to the body shop.
Yeah, well, it's going to go down. The whole vehicle will go down to the body
fenders
shop.
Will come off and grill and all that.
And then everything's going to get blasted and then painted. And actually got what did I do with that? Yeah, here it's here. Painted the body shop painted a car the same colour.
It's green.
This is the green we decided to go with.
See if the camera can pick that up.
Yeah, it's got a sort of a gold fleck in it. Yeah, so it's called Highland Green, 1968 Ford Mustang colour. But yeah, I think that'll look pretty good with.
And then tell us about the wood.
Yeah, so
Donna,
my wife's going to do the wood bed in the truck.
She's a woodworker.
Yeah, and there'll be some other wood features in the truck there as well. But yeah, we get chrome styles for the bed of the truck there. So I figure that green and then the chrome and the wood in the box, I think it'll look pretty good.
That'll be sure.
Yeah.
So are you able to show this thing off, maybe?
Yeah, well, let me unhook it here and then I'll
end off by driving it out.
Yeah.